All right, so I've tried to record this in clips, but that's not really my style, and I'm not really good at it. So I'm just gonna not do that. So we're gonna make a long video about how to fight Potemkin, and I'm gonna do this kind of streamer style where I record for about an hour, and then I put timestamps in for the different topics. So I have a list of topics I want to go over um, about Potemkin and various uh, various things that are good to know about the matchup, how you play it, and all that stuff. So, first off, is that there are two types of Potemkin player. Potemkin players are either steady, methodical, slowly push you to the corner. They kind of like poke you a bit. They kind of play like fundamental neutrals. They see if they can catch a slide head every now and then. But for the most part, they just kind of push you to the corner. And once they get you to the corner, then they start doing their big scary setups. Um, that's when they start doing their scary things. And you'll see this in one of the best Potemkins in the world, Fab, or FAB, whichever you want to call him. And he is a methodical Potemkin. The other type of Potemkin is the absolute crazy nutball, which is a totally valid way to play Potemkin and a lot of characters, which is to say, like, hey, I've got more health than you. I can definitely throw caution to the wind and something might stick. And then, who I would say is probably the second best Potemkin in the world right now, next to Fab, is Koji Cog. And I am very sorry to Jan. He's someone I've known for a long time, but I do think that Koji Cog is a bit better than him right now. Same with like Brutus and other good Potemkin. There's a bunch of good Potemkin players, but the main two I'm going to talk about are the Nutball, which is Koji Cog, and it's at the highest level. He kind of just throws caution to the wind, gets stuff off there. He'll do stuff like this. He'll do stuff like this, and it's totally fine. But it's not actually good because you can definitely hit him between there. But it's like he just throws enough options and something sticks. Now, the way that you play against the two of them is very different, and I'm going to talk about this more when I look at some replays. But the main thing that you do against the methodical Potemkin is you are an obligate zoner. You are playing to give up as little ground as possible and take ground back as consistently as possible. You can definitely play a little bit nuttier against them, like you can just run forward low. You can definitely do this kind of thing and then just start, going for your whatever mix-up you want to do. These kind of setups are actually a lot better against Potemkin than most characters. Where you do like this kind of thing. This is generally not very good, but it's excellent against Potemkin. Not excellent, but it's good against Potemkin because of a particular reason I'll get to later. Now, whenever you are fighting the methodical one, you are trying to zone them out with Far Slash, with 2S. You're trying to get them to misspace something, and you are trying to fireball them, and once they are stun edged, Max range Stun Dipper is unpunishable, and you can do kind of flippy stuff. You can do air stuff. You're trying to zone out. You're trying to get them off their game where they do commit to something, and you just kind of like get them to wait slowly. Then you just kind of run forward, and you play this kind of this sort of range right here, where you're just kind of like hard to catch, and all of that stuff. And you try not to eat slide head. That's the main way that they're going to get in. Now, the main thing against the nut is that you have to be okay being wrong and do not meet them at their game. Play your game, try not to let things stick, right? Like, if you eat a Mega Fist or you let a Mega Fist go unpunished, it's fine, right? Like, it's okay, don't let things stick to you, because that's how they get in your head. They get you thinking about the last thing, and then you're not thinking about where they currently are, and then you've been grabbed. You want to just kind of play your game. Every decision's a new decision, and do the best that you can to kind of zone, to do things that are reliable, do things that are consistent, do things that, like, against nutty Potemkins, I play in the air a lot more, because the only thing that's really going to stop me from being up here and throwing fireballs is Heavenly Potemkin Buster, which he only has occasionally. And so I will play a more active aerial game against nuttier Potemkins, because if I'm in the air, Mega Fist sucks, right? Like, if you're in the air, Mega Fist never clips you. Pretty much, like you're above it. It doesn't hit you. And so this kind of stuff where you're doing this sort of thing, you're doing this sort of thing, all of that sort of stuff. It works really well against them. Hang on. Whenever I miss that setup, I'm always like really sad to myself because I practiced it. All right. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is Roundstart. Now, Potemkin's best Roundstart, and if a Potemkin does not do this, you can really bully them. Potemkin's best Roundstart is 2P. Now, 2P... Oh, that's not on time. That might be good. We'll try that. Round call, and then enable. Is this good? Yes, that looks good. All right, so this is his best Roundstart. It will beat 2S and 6P, and is really, really hard to... It's really, really hard to deal with. The correct answer to it, if you do think they're going to do it, is to do a micro walk and whiff punish. And that's not easy to do. It's not something that you're going to do intuitively. If they're doing stuff like Far Slash or heaven forbid they're doing 5H or something terrible, you're just going to bully them out with 2S. Because 2S is faster than everything except for 2P. Now, if a Potemkin starts to do Mega Fist, you have won, right? Like if they do Mega Fist at Roundstart, then they will catch you the one time. But like once they start doing that game, they are committed to being crazy at the round of the start, and most options will lose to just blocking. Now, it is worth mentioning at Roundstart range, Potemkin can definitely grab you. This will grab the micro walk. This is a lot more real than Mega Fist, and you can backdash. Now, fortunately for Kai, is that Potemkin cannot catch backdash at the start of the round. Nothing he does can catch backdash, and so it's totally fine. You give up space, and if it is a methodical Potemkin, that is bad news bears. But it definitely does get around the Potemkin Buster, and it does get around the 2P. It does get around everything. So nothing he does can catch backdash, but you do lose a little bit of space for it. Now, Mega Fist, obviously, if he does that, punish with 2K. Like, if he does Mega Fist, then you are just going to punish with 2K, 2D, and it's totally fine, and he's cooked, right? Roundstart, he's losing immediately. Now, Potemkin has really pretty bad defense. He's got a couple tricks on defense, but, like, his defense sucks. It's it's like bottom 3 in the game. Because he's got a 5-frame normal that doesn't lead to damage. He's got a slow, chunky backdash that doesn't get out of very much. He's got a super that is slow and easy to block if you meaty. He's got another super that lets him fly away, but you can anti-air him and put him in a bad situation after. He's got he's got very little. His best option after that is backwards Mega Fist, but we'll talk about that more when we talk about defense. So, if they're doing this, then hooray, the round is over, right? Like, all of that sort of stuff. That is punishable, it's -6, and all of that sort of thing. Now, this also will beat, so 2S also beats the Kara Potemkin Buster. So, if you are not wanting to backdash, not wanting to give into that, and they're not doing the 2P to beat it, then 2S is a pretty good Roundstart against Potemkin, as it's a good Roundstart against everyone, but like it's a good Roundstart against Potemkin because it will beat 6P, it will catch low, 10 frames, all that stuff. He can micro walk against it. He can micro walk and 5K it, just like you can micro walk and 5K his, and all sorts of other things. But it's a good Roundstart regardless. Now, that is it for Roundstarts. Key punishes. We already talked about it, but key punish is Mega Fist. Mega Fist is -6, and so you can 2K it. or 2P or 5P. 2K is the furthest reaching, so it's the one you do. Now, one thing I will mention about this is at a lot of ranges, like this range right here, the 2D will whiff, and so I actually do this instead. It applies shock state, and I get a meaty 5K, and is a pretty, and it will never whiff. Like, there's a lot of times where, like, you punish like that, but this whiffs, and that's no good. Because then you start opening up them doing other things, and that's a can of worms you just don't want to open. So even though this right here gives you the best setup with a charged on edge, you still, I just don't do it. I do this. I do that because it's much more reliable. Now the other main one to think about is Hammerfall. Now Hammerfall is, fortunately for us, it is throwable. Now, I would not recommend throwing it or really trying to throw it because there's a lot of things you can do to mess with it, and the reaction at this range is very difficult. It is a reaction, even at this range, but it is very hard. At this range, not very hard, but it's one of those things like that that I wouldn't really recommend spending your time practicing it. The only reason I can do it is that I have played, I don't know, maybe 700 games against Potemkin or something like that. So I played a lot against Potemkin, and so I will use it some. But the main thing that you do is 5K 2D. Potemkin's range is consistent after Hammerfall. Now, obviously, you can Roman cancel, make it really scary, and all that stuff, then you hedge your bets and run away. But the Hammerfall is -9, which is unfortunately it's not -10 because you cannot get 2S to get a bigger punish. But you can do 5K 2D and then do whatever you want. But as you saw there, the 5K 2D does not... he tumbled immediately. So if I do it after Hammerfall, he's too far for me to do Stun Edge. So you have to do Diarrhea Flare if you want to do the continuation, if you don't want to just do Charge Stun Edge Meaty. Now, the reason I bring that up for any Kai players who are not optimal, who do not do that, is that these are your highest damage routes, which I didn't do DP there, but those are your highest damage routes. That's why I bring it up. Now, the other punish that's worth knowing is 2D. 2D right here is at close range. It is punishable. And do try to punish it. Potemkins will sometimes just end their strings on stuff like that. And it is punishable. Most of his normals are punishable if he does them close. If he does 2D Mega Fist... Oh, I didn't finish the recording. Hang on. If he does 2D Mega Fist and you try and punish the 2D, you're going to get counter hit, so be aware against the nut. Maybe don't try and punish it. Maybe just backdash or leave. But the other thing is just be aware if a Potemkin's not backing up an option, punish it. Same thing with like other strings, like a lot of things like that. Now, the only thing that is plus, really, that's consistently plus, is this. And this is the probably scariest thing to block other than Garuda is Close Slash, because it's like +4 or +3, I don't actually know. It's plus, which means he can do all sorts of stuff off it. He can do like Close Slash 2P, and then so he gets like Close Slash, he can Potemkin Buster there, Close Slash 2P, all of that sort of stuff. But that's getting into setups and set play, which I'm not at that stage for the timestamp. Those are the main punishes. They're not that complicated. I would recommend just practicing those for 20 minutes at one point, and then you're good. Mega Fist is something a lot of lower level Potemkins will use as a crutch, and being reliable punishing it is super helpful. At max range, it is not punishable unless you flawless defense. Oh, not flawless, unless you instant block. But even then, it's punishable at almost all ranges by Kai. Kai is kind of a blessed boy about this. Like, this is well, I didn't get the punish, but you can, like, that is a punish at that range. Then the next section that I want to talk about is some setups, common knockdowns, and some set play. So I got into a little bit. Now, first off is that there are a bunch of different knockdowns that Potemkin can do. First, Hammerfall. He doesn't get anything on this. He gets literally nothing on this. He cannot move. He can't even move forward because that was punishable. So unless he spins meter, if you eat Hammerfall, even on counter hit, who cares, right? Like he can't do anything to you. Potemkin ain't scary if he eats Hammerfall. It's fine to eat Hammerfall. You eat about 100 damage or whatever, 80 damage. Doesn't matter. Or 60 damage, I guess. It's not that big. But doesn't really matter, right? It's fine to eat Hammerfall. And he can do a bunch of things like that. So if he has meter, this move becomes very scary. But Hammerfall will blow through stuff, but it's okay to eat it. Even in the corner, like where it's like this, he does have a meaty here. Like I did it early enough that it missed. But he does have a meaty in the corner, but like, he's not gonna. It doesn't really matter, right? Like he has to walk forward for close slash and all that stuff, but that's not a very common knockdown. Let me turn off all that stuff. So then the next thing about this is the other thing. The other knockdown that's kind of fake is Potemkin Buster itself. Mid-screen Potemkin Buster. He can do another Potemkin Buster. Like, you'll see that a lot in the clip videos where someone gets Potemkin Bustered, and then they say, I'm going to block, and then he goes, woo, Potemkin Buster. That's pretty common, but he doesn't really have a whole lot he can do to stop you from backdashing. So, on Potemkin Buster, he can stop the backdash, but he has to do something like this, and that does, like, if he's doing that, congratulations, this Potemkin is giving up so much. You've already kind of won the mind game if Potemkin's going to this. Or whatever other option he's doing to beat the backdash. Because if he starts doing that, then you open up a whole other can of reactions. Now, on Potemkin Buster, he does get a... Oh, I did press the wrong button because I forgot. On Potemkin Buster, he does have a meaty, if he does it correctly. He does get meaty 2k, 2d. But the 2k right here, which is the actual meaty, will not catch backdash. So he has to start going straight into 2d. And as we mentioned, if he does that, 2d is punishable. Hey, there's that opening up. That's kind of they're already hedging their bets. Now, that's kind of the main thing you do about that, is that the best answer is to backdash and get them to try and beat backdash, and then you start going into other mind games with it. Obviously, don't get grab 5-head, but then there are other things. His scariest knockdowns are 2D and slide head. These two are actually scary. Now, full screen slide head, all he gets is in. He gets close. That's all he gets. He doesn't even get meaties most of the time. So if he's all the way back here and he does this, he doesn't get a meaty. It's not even close. So all he gets is closer, and that's fine. At this range, though, he can like walk up and Garuda, and that's bad. And he can Hammerfall Break and Close Slash, and that's also bad. Right, Hammerfall Break and Close Slash is a little bit further. Something to know about Slidehead, though, is if he Hammerfall Breaks, he does not get Garuda. If he Hammerfall Breaks and does Garuda, there is like a 7 or 8 frame gap, and you can mash. Now, obviously, you're afraid if he Hammerfall Breaks because there might be a Close Slash coming for you. And Close Slash, as mentioned before, is very scary. It is plus, it leads to tick throws, it can jail, all of that sort of stuff. But it is a lot less scary than Garuda is, because you can YRC it, you can DP it, you can do all sorts of stuff. There is no way that he can meaty a close slash. Actually, there's no meaty that Potemkin can do outside of one. This is his safe jump right here. That is a safe jump at closer ranges. Okay, Sorry, just got a text about work. All right. So the main thing is to get into. I'm about to have to go to work, so we're going to try and wrap this up a little quicker. The thing about this safe jump is he is plus, so you have to deal with it, but it's only at closer ranges that he gets this, because that's not a safe jump anymore. TP would hit that. Sorry, I'm just like super distracted. We're gonna go back into it. All right, so the other thing to know about Potemkin setups, is that 2D, he always gets Garuda. There is no like, he can actually do a Hammerfall break on Garuda, or he can actually do Hammerfall break and get a meaty Garuda. He can do it so at all ranges, always on 2D, he does have Garuda. Now, the thing about Garuda is that if he's close to you, you can DP it. And that's really nice to do, because a lot of Potemkins do not really hide the fact that they're going into Garuda. And we'll do a section on Garuda later about how you can, what you do in block and how it works. And actually, I'm going to switch this over to being Potemkin. That way I can kind of talk. It's a little easier to talk about this character and how to deal with him in the Potemkin mirror, because I can just have him do actions on block. Now, let's actually get into Garuda now. So Garuda is very, very good. It is extremely scary. So if like he does that, he can backdash, but the computer is not going to. The computer's not going to have this problem, but a player does. So if you block Garuda and you're trying to backdash after Garuda, there is nothing that they can't, like if they're mashing backdash, they're not holding down back. And so any lows that you do after Garuda are going to catch the action. So if you're holding up to jump away from Potemkin Buster, you'll get jailed and caught by the low. So there's not a lot you can do about Garuda. The main thing is to reversal. But if Potemkin is close, and he's not like this range doing Garuda, if he's at this range right here, the DP whiffs, and you are a sad Kai player. But the Garuda is like the main things to do is that he can do low. He can do Garuda a second time. Garuda a second time has a gap, and you can mash, and you can jump. I would not recommend backdashing, because the second Garuda will often catch the backdash. And I wish I could. I'm actually going to switch back, because it turns out that they don't act out of Garuda, so it's pointless in me showing this stuff. Because Garuda is not blocking, Garuda is Guard Crush, which is a far scarier thing to deal with. You cannot YRC, obviously. You can burst. I would recommend saving your burst specifically for Garuda, because short of that, which they're never going to do. They might do that, though. Now, the thing about Garuda, there's one other thing to know, which is this is a real block string. Nothing that he does. So if I have him doing a counterattack, let's switch this over. Let's switch this over to Potemkin and Kai. If he does a counterattack, you'll see that it doesn't come out. Which is the Garuda is counterattack settings, okay, that's fine. Alright, so if I do like close / Garuda, the 5P will catch it, right? But if they are... If it's PRC or blue RC, it becomes real, right? And then it becomes a lot scarier. So Potemkin can do stuff like Blue RC there, Wake Up, Garuda, and then it starts becoming a frame trap. Now, you can DP, and I would recommend DPing in this situation, but it is something that you can do. Now, the last thing about Garuda is holding up is not that good an option unless you think they're going to Garuda a second time. Because if you Garuda a second time and he does something like that, what? Does something like that, he puts you in a really bad spot that's almost as bad as Garuda. If you block that. Now, there's not a lot you can do about it. Garuda is meaty if they do a reset like this. This will beat DP. Every time. You cannot reversal it. You have to take it. If you don't have burst, you can't do it. And even at this range, burst can sometimes whiff. So there's literally no counterplay for stuff like that. You just have to be right. And that's probably the scariest mix-up in the entire game. There's not a lot to say about it other than it is impossibly difficult to... it is impossibly difficult to deal, to get out of. There's no good way out of it that I know of anyway. And that's the same thing if he does this kind of thing. Right there. At that range, burst whiffs. And so you just have to hold that. Now, the worst thing that Potemkin can do after Garuda actually is to Potemkin Buster. They're not usually going to do it unless they're a Potemkin Bustery Potemkin. Because a lot of these type of options where they do like this kind of thing and they reset it or a Garuda, like look at that health right up there. Look at that guard bar, right? They're going to want to be a little bit greedy on this stuff, right? They might do like that kind of thing, and that was as much damage as a Potemkin Buster. So you don't really want to hold up unless you think they're going to Garuda twice or going to Potemkin Buster. So yeah, Garuda is super scary. The next point is how to deal with how to pressure Potemkin. This is going to be a point there. I'm going to be able to. I've kind of got my bearings back again. I'm sorry, the last couple minutes have sucked. But against Potemkin, he does not have a lot of things. His best defensive option, particularly in the corner, is backwards Mega Fist. This is his best defensive option, and this is the one that you should try and beat, because look at that. It gets airborne faster than jumps do, and it will actually get out of a lot of frame traps. Right? So you can... It's really tricky. It's really degenerate. So that kind of thing is a lot better against Potemkin because of it. So that kind of option goes a very long ways to answering this. Similarly, just jumping or this kind of thing where you do that kind of thing will catch it a lot, and it's a lot better. Now, backwards Mega Fist, degenerate option, it's very, very good, because, like, it gets out of that, gets out of that. It's worth trying to do some specific things to beat it, because it is so strong. So that's why I do this a lot against Potemkin. And that's because it does catch a lot of things. So if you do close slash, you'll see that it catches them and they're still grounded. If you do 5K, they're airborne, which means you get a free wall break. And that will go a long ways beyond just the basic stuff. Now, stuff to know about backwards Mega Fist is that if you do this and you block it, it's plus. So you have to answer it specifically. If they are not doing it because you have been doing something else, you can do the same regular things that you would do normally to beat Potemkin. I did miss the timing. I feel bad about it, but I did. You would do the same things you normally would do, where you do the same thing where you on throw, you do early timing this and then to that, which I'm going to see if I can get that. We'll catch the jump, and then you also can run throw there. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do to Potemkin because he has a 5-frame gap. He doesn't have anything faster, so like this kind of thing is way strong against Potemkin because he doesn't have a 5-frame option. So all of his other options, like backdash, all the regular stuff that you would do against Potemkin, all of this stuff. All of that kind of thing catches pretty much every defensive option he does. Now, this will catch backdash. It will not catch jump. Oh, don't. I'm sorry. It does catch jump. It does not catch 2P. Sorry. So if I do that, it doesn't catch 2P. It does catch 5P if it's that version. But the one that doesn't catch jump is the 5K. That does not catch jump. So, worth knowing the different strings. That does catch jump. It catches everything except crouching normals. And that's really good against Potemkin. So, although I am not a proponent of this kind of mix-up for Kai, where you do like... It's really good against Potemkin. And it's really good against Potemkin because it answers back Mega Fist. And back Mega Fist is a super strong defensive option for Potemkin. Then the last thing to mention is if you are trying to blow through a random recording, like a random thing for Potemkin, like Hammerfall or something. Let's say you're doing this. You can always just red Roman cancel to blow through the Hammerfall. So let's say you're mid-screen, right? And he armors through it. You can red Roman cancel on reaction to him armoring. And it will blow through a lot of his different options. And it is super helpful to be able to do that. Same thing with slide head, where if he does like slide head, you can also do the same thing. Like let's say he blows through that, you can just red Roman cancel and just blow it up. That's really helpful to be able to do. Now, if you are an absolute wizard, you can super, but as you can see, I am not a wizard. So that is a bit of neutral tech that's really helpful. Now, a lot of ranges come down to different things. The most important thing, and this is the last bit, is the neutral bit, which is kind of like closing ideas that I didn't talk about. Being able to run and then block this, like where you're running, and then you can react to blocking slide head, is really important to do. It is 0 on block, so you're not going to get much for it, but as mentioned in the setup section, slide head's one of the worst things you can eat. Like one of the worst things you can get hit by. Now, you can backdash it if you want to time it. It's not even particularly hard to do on reaction because slide head's fairly there. But if you're in the air a lot, which a lot of people are going to be in the air a lot against Potemkin, because of all of air stun edge, all that sort of stuff. Air stun edge is actually quite good against Potemkin. Similarly, Mega Fist in the air is pretty easy to hit Mega Fist while in the air. So a lot of his options, all similarly, flip kick, pretty good at hitting Mega Fist. So all of that sort of stuff, similarly. Similarly, that is a very nice thing to do in neutral, because let's say you're messing with your fireball timings to get them to mess up flick, which is not that hard to do. This will catch flick, and it will catch Mega Fist, and it will catch a lot of stuff, and it will catch just jumping. It's really... And Potemkin has a hard time answering it, actually. Even though his 5P is his like go-to anti-air, he doesn't get anything for it. So it's actually really quite good. The thing that it struggles with is that Slide Head and Hammerfall will catch it, but if you condition them not to do it with stuff like that, or just punishing it, or, you know, moving around a lot, it does really well. The last thing I wanted to do was to actually look at some replays. So let's go to Collections Replay. And I'm going to watch a little bit of a first 10 with a friend of mine who recently got VIP. Congrats. He is a low VIP Potemkin player. And as soon as his communicates with the server, we'll see how long it took. Oh, it's like 45 seconds. All right. So let's see. So where is it? Is it my matches? Yeah. All right. So let's start here. Let's start at the park. All right. So this set we'd already been playing for a while, so some of our play had degenerated at this point because we've been playing for years. The two of us have probably played like, I don't know, 10,000 games over the course of like 4 different Guilty Gears and a bunch of Street Fighters and all that stuff. But so starting off, he was not doing 2P, so I did a lot of 2S round starts, but that would not be the answer to do there. Oh yes, this was very late into the night, I see. Oh, that's embarrassing. All right. But a lot of these kind of options are really good, where after you get in, Potemkin's defense, not actually very good. This is a really bad replay, so we might just edit this out. Oh, no, we'll let it go. We'll let it rock. So, a lot of just, like, this is probably not too helpful because it's, like, just because it is not going to be super helpful because we'd already been playing for, like, 2 hours at this point. So our play has degenerated into Gold Burst shenanigans. Same thing, same round start. Bullying with 2S is really good. I didn't talk about that. But I'm just like looking, he's waiting, so I'm now starting to look to catch him with just a low. All of that sort of stuff, like, he's doing a lot of waiting now, and so I'm just trying to catch him for waiting with like a 2D. That kind of setup, again, catch back Mega Fist. He slowed down. Mistimed my throw. Again, get the anti-airs. So, just kind of running away, trying to catch him moving in, and then get a low. I'm not doing a whole lot because he has, you know, I'm afraid of getting caught. So I'm just kind of moving. I'm not really trying to... this would be a lot better if I had a Potemkin where I wasn't someone I played a lot, because whenever it's someone you've played a lot, the play is just never very... Like, it's just never really what you're looking for. So... It's just never, like, kind of, never archetypal of the matchup, we'll put it that way. Because it's all kind of specific to what they struggle with. So, again, 2S round start because he's not been doing the optimal stuff. Because he doesn't know it. I've told him since, but I didn't tell him this night. So I didn't know he didn't know. So, I'm just kind of waiting. I missed my punish, but I'll run up and grab. I'm just kind of waiting, right? A lot of the matchup is just kind of waiting and messing with timings. FDing the... or not FDing. Instant blocking the flick projectile is nice if you can do it reliably. It's the same timing that it was to slash it back in older games. But it is... All of that stuff. That was supposed to be a slash stun edge, actually. Again. All of those just kind of pressure options, get him to press buttons. Again, got to make sure to block slide heads. Slide head is the absolute worst thing to get hit by, so you really don't want to get yourself caught by slide head. Similarly, it's pretty easy to mess with flick by delaying your fireballs. That was I thought he was close enough for me to DP it, so I DP'd, but he was not. So this is now a bad situation. So Mike has a chance to, or I meant to not say his name, but there is a chance for him to get that there. Didn't get the side switch, but did a full screen carry. Same thing. Just tick throw. He doesn't have good defensive options, so all of that stuff is there. He's not going to use back Mega Fist much because I did it a lot early on, where I did a lot of those jump dust setups to train him out of doing back Mega Fist. Mostly because it's mostly just because it is. Mostly just because, like, it's like what you do in this matchup. That's I lost my train of thought there, but so I did something that was punishable. I got really lucky for him not to punish it. We talked about him missing punishes after the set as well. That was a big part of why he was losing so reliably. Run throw. Again, I think I caught him jumping there, because he's been jumping a little bit. In that situation, anyway. Should have super, didn't. Again, shock state, there's no punish, so totally safe to do at far ranges. That's only at far ranges, though, by the way. Like, he can 2P a lot of ranges. That might have even been 2P'able, but... Missed my timed anti-air. So, that's something I didn't talk about. He has the ability to stall in the air for a split second with his butt, which will mess with your anti-air timing. I thought I would get meter there, which is why I went for the dust. I didn't get it. Again, got to make sure to catch those slide heads with instant air dash and reaction if he ever does them while you're in the air. Just to air dash at him and catch it. Let's do one where Mike wins. Does it show result left trigger? Let's do one where I lost. There's one. All right. So a lot of times when you lose, the reason that you're looking for is just kind of you guessed wrong. You got knocked down and you guessed wrong. There's not a lot of chances that he has, and he obviously could be getting a little bit more chances than he is, because like he's missed some punishes, but like right there he went for that. But I know it's not going to be in range, so it's just backdash. Didn't catch the punish because I didn't FTC. Again, RC. Not catching it. Okay, right there I could have been Potemkin Bustered. Wasn't thinking about it. Again, we've played each other too much, that's why the gold burst happened. Okay. I was trying to get over it. I thought I was further away. Okay. That's something he probably should be doing more, is YRCing. because he's getting opened up on defense way too much. Yep. Yeah, pretty. This is actually pretty archetypal play. Sorry, I stopped talking there for a second. Was reading more text from work. Um, that tick throw is always something that you already feel bad because you ate a Mega Fist, and then you get Potemkin Bustered, and that's just like, oh, I feel so bad. Back Mega Fist in defense. I mash out because I thought he was going to Potemkin Buster. Okay, I think I'm dead. Oh, nope, he didn't do the combo. I will iterate that Mike is a very good player. You don't necessarily see it in this match because it's like a pretty bad player matchup. But also it went out on a missed meaty. That sucks for him. That sucks for me. But a lot of times, if you are moving really actively, you can make a lot of pretty good players who would traditionally stomp a lot of people look a lot worse by just moving actively and catching things out. So I hope that helps some. I'll see if I can get a set with some other Potemkins to do, but that will be there. I'm going to message Mike and see if it's okay for me to use the replay when I was recording this, but if it isn't, then you won't see this part. But that's about it. Bye for now.